right, you can begin.
Hi, so good morning, everyone, and welcome to Chapter 4 of Exploring Leadership, Understanding Self. My name is Leslie Ann Henderson, and I am a facilitator for the first part of today's session. So, in today's session, this chapter we are doing is called Understanding Self. We focus on one of the most important aspects of leadership, understanding who we are as individuals and how that shapes the way we lead. Before we can guide or inspire others, we must first be aware of our own identity, values, and personal journey. As a leader, self awareness forms the foundation for growth, authenticity, and ethical behavior. When we understand our thoughts, emotions, and actions, we can make better decisions, build stronger relationships, and lead with integrity and purpose. So, in today's session, facilitated by Vanilla, Griffith, and myself, we will explore several key topics. By the end of this session, we hope you will gain deeper insight into yourself and understand how personal growth directly influences your leadership journey. Our mission is to help you strengthen your confidence, embrace your uniqueness, and continue developing into the kind of leader who inspires and empowers others. So the learning goals for today is by the end of this chapter, students will be able to understand the concept of self-awareness and its impact on leadership, to identify personal strengths, weaknesses, and emotional responses in different situations, and to encourage personal reflection for self-leadership and emotional intelligence development. So before we start, so just have a little brain teaser. So just think about the last time you were in a class or a meeting and you had a thought like this. So I have a solution, but I don't want to say it loud in front of all these people. What if it sounds stupid? Or maybe you felt proud after listening to someone and making them feel heard and understood. Or perhaps you have procrastinated and wondered, why do I, why do I always do this when I know the deadline is coming up? These are moments where self awareness or the lack of it plays a huge role in how we act and react. Today, we're going to explore how being self aware can help you understand these thoughts and how they impact your behavior. Knowing your strengths and weaknesses helps you grow and relate to others. And most importantly, how you can use this understanding to become a more effective leader. So we have a little reflection activity here. So it's a class participation, right? So you all have to participate, right? So what we're going to do is choose one and reflect on the last time you experienced it. So anyone willing to volunteer and share what emotions you experience in that moment? It could be any one of the questions. Anyone?
Hi.
Okay.
Kick
So
off it.
I
okay, great.
okay. So the second one, procrastinated despite knowing a deadline was approaching. I actually just experienced that for another class that I have tomorrow, and the deadline is today. So I just finished the assignment that's due tomorrow, but well, not tomorrow actually, it's due today, but the class is for tomorrow. And knowing that the class is for tomorrow, that kind of made me motivated to not do the assignment just yet and focus on other stuff. The emotions I feel when I do that is when it comes down to it and I'm in the moment of okay, I need to start looking. I get like scared, I guess, and I get a bit angry at myself for doing that. And it's yeah, it's something I have to work on.
Right. I understand perfectly. And anyone else? Anyone want to explain, express what emotions they experience and when they like you hesitated to speak in a meeting or even class, thinking that you might sound stupid?
Okay, so quick.
Hi, good morning. So
Hi, good
I have a
morning.
very bad habit of procrastinating when I have assignments. I really don't know what has been going on, but I will have plenty time like in advance, and I would wait until like the real crunch time to do assignment. I don't know if it's the whole adrenaline with it, but
Yeah.
somehow I just happen to get it done, but it's always right at the button of when it is due. I remember it at the time I submitted an assignment like 1 minute to the time, and I was like experiencing anxiety and panicking and everything, and I was like, "But why I keep doing myself this?" I don't know. That's just my way of getting it done. You know, to me, like if I do it in advance, I don't know. I don't know why others be doing that, but others get it done. That's just my.
Okay, so let me explain why these things happen, right? So these two scenarios are deeply human behaviors because they all tie to how our emotions, self-perception, and social dynamics shape behavior. So hesitating to speak in a meeting, right? Thinking your idea might sound stupid. This is often linked to fear of judgment, self-doubt, or social comparison. We worry about how others will perceive us, which activates feelings of weakness. And procrastinating despite a deadline, this is tied to emotion regulation. Procrastination isn't usually laziness. It is often an avoidance strategy when a task feels stressful, overwhelming, or threatening to our sense of competence. So I don't know if that would explain why we procrastinate for deadlines, and especially the two students who responded, if this is why you felt that way. So in short, each scenario shows a constant interplay between thoughts and emotions in everyday life. They remind us that behavior is not just rational, but it's deeply emotional. And to me, with the procrastinating part, this happened to me a lot. And when I was doing this assignments, I realized that really the stressful feeling of the assignment is not that I don't have the time. It's just that the especially in a presentation, that is the part where I procrastinate a lot. So, this helped me to understand about why I behave the way I behave in terms of this. So, a key area for understanding self is self-awareness, right? So,
Hi, I'm Mr. J. Oprah once said, don't be confused.
okay,
Hi.
sorry about that, right? So today we're going to talk about one of the most critical components of leadership, self-awareness. Understanding yourself is the first step to becoming an effective leader. Let's look at this video to understand yourself and why it matters for leadership.
Hi, I'm Mr. J. Oprah once said, don't be confused between what people say you are and who you know you are. Today, we are going to discuss self-awareness. Self-awareness is naming how you feel, understanding why you feel that way, and explaining your feels. Self-awareness also involves identifying your strengths, identifying your areas of growth, developing confidence in yourself. What do you think Oprah meant when she said, don't be confused between what people say you are and who you know you are? Name 3 things you are really good at. What are your top strengths? Do you think feelings are temporary or do they last forever? Explain your answer.
Right, so I hope you all got a better understanding of what is self-awareness. And in self-awareness, there are some key components, and there are three key components of self-awareness. So the first one is emotional awareness. That is the ability to tune into your feelings, thoughts, and actions. So being self-aware means having a deep understanding of your emotions, thoughts, and behaviors. You are able to recognize how you feel in certain situations, why you think a certain way, and how your actions affect others. This awareness is the foundation of emotional intelligence, allowing you to manage yourself better and respond appropriately in different circumstances. The second one is recognizing how others see you. So, self awareness also involves understanding how others perceive you. This means acknowledging the impact your actions, words, and behaviors have on the people around you. Leaders who are aware of how they come across can adapt their approach to communicate more effectively and build stronger, more authentic relationship with their teams. And lastly, recognizing your strengths and weaknesses. A self aware leader knows their strengths, the skills and qualities they excel at, and can leverage them in leadership situations. They are also aware of their challenges where they may need growth or improvement. By recognizing these, leaders can seek development opportunities and ask for support when necessary, leading to continuous personal and professional growth. So another key area of understanding self is development for self-leadership. Leadership doesn't begin with leading others. It starts with leading yourself. The development of self-awareness, self-regulation, and self-improvements are all critical in shaping you into an effective leader. So when we think back to the scenarios we discussed earlier, hesitating to contribute to a meeting or procrastinating before a deadline, each of these reflect how your thoughts, emotions, habits influences your actions. So I don't know how many of you ever watched the movie Star Wars, Return of the Jedi. So Star Wars analogy fits perfectly with the understanding self theme. It highlights the same theme of self-leadership. The Star Wars movie carried deeper meaning beneath the action and adventure. So think for a moment about Star Wars. Luke Skywalker didn't become a Jedi because simply by learning how to use the lightsaber. His true journey began when he started to understand himself. Along the way, he faced fear, doubt, and temptation, but each challenge helped him grow stronger and discover his purpose. In the same way, leadership begins with self awareness. Just as Luke had to confront his inner struggles before mastering the force, we too must recognize our strengths, weaknesses, and values before we can lead others effectively. Our version of the force is that inner awareness, the ability to stay grounded, confident, and guided by our principles even when things get difficult. True leadership, like the path of Jedi, starts within. So we just have a little small activity again. So in Star Wars, every character has both a light side and dark side, just like leaders do. The light side represents our strengths and positive leadership traits, while the dark side reflects the habits or weaknesses we need to manage. So take a moment about this. Take a moment and think. One quality you bring to leadership that represents your light side, and one behavior or habit that represents your dark side. So you'll take 1 minute and jot down these, or you can just reflect quietly, and anyone is willing to share after can share. So you could just share one light side and one dark side. Anyone willing to share? One light side. So one quality you bring to leadership that represents your light side, and one behavior or habit that represents your dark side.
Yeah,
Tiara.
one um, quality for my lifestyle would be empathy, because I always understand that not everybody has the same schedule as me, um, and that not everybody will get the work done at the same time as me, or um, that they have other things to do beside this one assignment. Even though I have the same thing, I also understand that. And I think that's why I understand, because I also go through the same thing as other people in the group setting.
Well, thank you for sharing. Anyone else? Just
There's a
one more
comment in the
person.
chat. There's a comment in the chat from Mendoza. I'll read it to you.
Yes,
Mendoza
sir.
says, for the light side, they are easier to talk to. On the dark side, they have a lot of self doubt.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So, just like Jedi, a good leader isn't defined by avoiding the dark side, but by being aware of it. When we understand both sides of ourselves, we can lead with balance, honesty, and strength. So, the key takeaways for development of self leadership is that you are your own best teacher. Every leader's greatest source of learning is himself. Your experiences, both successes and failures, hold valuable lessons. Pay attention to them because no one can teach you more about yourself, about how you lead than you. The next one is accept responsibility and blame no one. Effective leaders don't blame others for their mistakes or circumstances. Instead, they take ownership of their actions and choices. Accepting responsibility allows you to grow, stay accountable, and build trust with those you lead. Another one is you can learn anything you want to learn. Leadership is a journey of lifelong learning. With commitment, curiosity, and reflection, you can develop any skill or quality you need. Growth happens when you stay open to learning and challenge yourself to improve. And lastly, true understanding comes from reflection on your experience. The best leaders make time to think deeply about their experiences. Reflection helps you connect your actions to outcomes, recognize patterns, and gain insights. By reflecting regularly, you can turn everyday moments into powerful lessons of growth. So another key area for understanding self is your strengths and weaknesses. So did you know strengths can become weaknesses when overused, and weaknesses can sometimes be hidden strengths? So each person brings a different mix of strengths and weaknesses to any situation. The irony is that some of your strengths, if overemphasized, become your weakness, and things you consider weaknesses may actually be seen as strengths by others. You may be a strong critical thinker who can readily find flaws in logic. That can be a terrific strength in helping your group prepare and present its position on a topic. Or it can be seen as a negative and blocking if someone is presenting an idea to you and you just naturally begin to be critical instead of trying to connect and listen. The converse can be true as well. To be humble and quiet may mean your opinion is never heard and your voice is left out of decision making. But it can also mean you are a keen listener who is very tuned into other thoughts. Leadership self-awareness grows when you can identify your personal strengths and weaknesses in working with others towards change. So we have another interactive activity. So this is a reflection. So can you think of a time when one of your weaknesses, one of your strengths became a weakness? Anyone willing to share? Anyone? Anyone? Well, I'm gonna share. So example for me is being creative, right? So my strength is creativity. And this can be a weakness for me sometimes because I can get caught up, get stuck in small stuff, right? So like doing this assignment. So I was doing the presentation and I noticed minor formatting issues and inconsistencies, right? And because of I like to be creative, I spend hours trying to polish it, delaying delivery, even though it was already good enough. So to me, the strengths like creativity can become weakness if over emphasized. And self-awareness helps balance perfection with practicality. So identifying your strengths, sometimes it is hard to identify strengths, but there are ways to find your strengths. So we're going to watch a little video on by Jay Shetty showing you how you can identify your strengths.
And the reason, going back to one of the earlier questions you asked, the reason why we struggle to find our passion is because the world has constantly pushed us away from our strengths. We've constantly been told to focus on your weaknesses. Oh, you've got 3 A's and a D, you should be working on that D. Let's get that up to an A, right? I remember in my school, they had this excruciating exercise where you'd be ranked 1 to 180 on every subject every year. Whoa. And they'd send the list home to your parents. So there were 180 students in my year group, and every subject, art, math, English, science, geography, history, you name it, you were ranked 1 to 180 in every subject based on your test results and scores. And that was like painful when my parents received that. And the crazy thing was, I would always outperform, always. In art, design, philosophy, and economics, and English, I was always in the top half, if not in the top quarter, if not in the top 5, right, of my whole year group. And stuff like science and geography and math, I was kind of like in the middle and towards the bottom end of my year. Now, granted, I went to a competitive school, so I was still okay at those things. But the interesting thing was that my parents and my friends' parents would never look at what you came 1 or 2 or 3 in. They'd be looking at the things you came 90, 100, and 110 in. And so we've all been programmed to say, oh, your strengths, they're fine. They're good the way they are. But why are you not performing at this? And so the one way to know your strengths is to ask yourself, what do you do that you feel the most confidence doing? And it could be something as simple as I'm great at organizing birthday parties. It could be like that may be your skill, right? That may be your strength. Or it may be something like I'm really good at putting on makeup. Or it could be that I have a great sense of fashion. It could be any of those things. And if you don't know it yet, you can also do an exercise where you sit down with a colleague, a family member, and a friend, because you need people from all areas of your life, and you ask them, what do you think I do that I excel in, that I stand out in? Or if you could trust me to do one thing in your life for you, what would that one thing be? And when you ask that to people in a reflective way, really asking for that presence, you might be surprised by what they say. And that's such a powerful question to ask, because someone may actually say something like to you, like, Jay, I think your greatest strength is just knowing what to say to me when I most need it. And you may think, well, that's not a strength you can do anything with, but it is. It is a strength that you can do a lot with if you are okay with accepting that. Of course, I want someone to say to me, oh, Jay, you're an athlete like Cristiano Ronaldo, and you could play football and get the Ballon d'Or and win all these trophies, but that's not my reality. And so I feel that that's the place that I would start with strengths. And there was a great study done on the healthy, wealthy, and wisest people in the world. And they were asked, if you could invest in what you're good at, you're average at, or what you're bad at, where would you put your money? And so if you take 100%, how would you divide that as a ratio? And if you ask this, I want everyone who's listening and watching at home right now to do this exercise. And you may write down 33, 33, 33. You may write down 40, 40, 20. You may write down 10, 10, 80. Whatever you write down, the most healthy, wealthy, wisest, successful people on the planet will say theirs is 100, 0, 0 or 80, 10, 10. They go all in on their strengths because they know that if they go all in on their strengths, they can become exceptional at it. Now, here's the caveat. When it comes to your hard skills, focus on your strengths. But when it comes to your soft skills, focus on your weaknesses.
Now you got to tell me which is which.
Yeah, so hard skills are things like Excel, math, product design, using a video camera, script writing, speaking. These are all hard skills in the sense that they're very clearly defined, very tangible. You can really measure them. It's almost like a skill that's measurable. Your soft skills are like emotional intelligence, listening, compassion, empathy. These are all soft skills or considered soft skills. And those are where you focus on your weaknesses because they can actually end up tripping you up while you're trying to become the best at doing the hard skill. So you may be the best videographer in the world, but if you don't know how to listen to your community and your team, then no one's going to want to work with you. And so to me, that's the missing link, that we're actually the other way around. We put all our emphasis on getting better at our weaknesses and our hard skills. And we think that because we're empathetic and good people, that will be enough. And it doesn't work that way.
Right, so there are other ways to find your strengths, right? So this is some ways for you to pay attention to your own successes, even if others don't notice them. Notice the satisfaction and sense of well-being when you notice the satisfaction and sense of well-being you feel when you have done something well. Strengths often show up in things that come easily or naturally to you. Example, like organizing, learning quickly, connecting with people. By studying your successes, you find clues to what you do especially well. Look for patterns of excellence in your life, whether in academic, hobbies, or daily skills. Identifying and naming your strengths build confidence and self-esteem and helps you see how you can contribute meaningfully to leadership and group efforts. So another key area for understanding self is managing our weaknesses. So all of us have weaknesses, but the key to manage them so that they do not hold back our strengths. Weaknesses may not always be turned into strengths, but they can be handled in ways that prevent them from blocking growth. So when we look at this case study, right? So anyone know who are any of these successful individuals on the screen? Anyone?
Yeah.
Yes, you can name a few of them.
The guy on the top left is Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Um, and then the where the cursor is Keanu Reeves. To the right of Keanu Reeves, I believe is Whoopi Goldberg.
Yes.
I think that's it. That's all I recognize.
Right. So, okay, thanks. So many of these successful individuals, they face personal challenges as dyslexia, right? So instead of letting these limitations hold them back, they found ways to adapt, leverage their strengths, and let their talent shine. So the challenges don't define your potential, but how you respond to them does. So it have others face different challenges, right? So it have Helen Keller could not see, speak, or hear, yet she learned to communicate remarkably well. Then we have Olympic athlete Jackie Kersey manages asthma daily. Despite their weaknesses, these individuals learn to manage their challenges so their strengths could shine. So effective leaders don't let their weaknesses define them. They find ways to work around or adapt to them. So some key takeaways from managing our weaknesses are some weaknesses may be problematic because they cause you to function poorly and may not require direct attention. For example, discomfort with public speaking can be managed by using visuals, encouraging group interaction, or practicing discussion skills. So accessing your strengths and weaknesses is critical to self-awareness. Often, what we see as a weakness may connect to hidden strengths depending on how we approach it. Ultimately, managing weaknesses is about being self aware, finding strategies to adapt, and focusing energy on building and applying one's strength in leadership and in life. So we have another reflection prompt again. So this one, so think about one personal weakness, right? How could you manage it instead of trying to fix it? And what strengths could help you overcome or adapt to it? So anyone willing to share?
So, like for instance, I have anxiety. I think that's one of my personal weaknesses.
Yes.
Um, so I work in a lab, and one of the ways that I try to like manage it is when I feel anxious like about work and stuff, I dive more into like doing quality stuff. So that way I know that the results that I send out to the work that I produce there is like different levels to checking it.
Yeah, I think that's the same with me too, and especially when in terms of public speaking, especially in this kind of settings. So my strategy would be to prepare and practice in smaller settings, and the leverage of the strength of my leverage is my creativity. So it helps me design engaging visuals and stories that support my message, easing my anxiety. So I think it's kind of working. I don't know if what you all think, but for me, I think, this is kind of working for me. Anyone else want to share? Okay, so self-awareness isn't about perfection. It's about understanding yourself and using your strengths to work effectively with your weaknesses. So another key area in understanding self is developing your talent. So one of our greatest assets of human beings is talent. Everyone has talents. Talents are natural patterns of thought, feeling, or behavior. So developing your talent is just a little tip for you. So pay attention to the moments when you feel proud or accomplished when doing something. These experiences reveal areas of talent. So another discussion activity. So can it, anyone can answer, right? So can a talent be something small like making people laugh or staying calm? Anyone, yes or no?
Yes.
Why would you say yes? Or you don't have to answer. I don't want to put you on the spot. You can answer or not. Anyone else?
Because
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say like stuff like staying calm and stuff could be strengths because let's say in a situation where you just tend to overreact or like what's the word I'm looking for? I don't overreact or like spaz out. And when you're stressed, you doesn't think clearly. But if you stay calm, you can actually focus on fixing the problem rather than stressing out over it. If that makes
Yeah,
sense.
that is true. So you're absolutely correct. So a talent doesn't have to be big, flashy, or award-winning to be real or valuable. Small talents are still talents. So things to remember. So too often people focus on fixing their weaknesses instead of leveraging their strengths. We tend to work on a deficit mindset, concentrating on what we lack or struggle with. This focus can take time and energy away from what we want naturally, from what we naturally do well. In reality, we don't have enough time in our lives to fully fix all of our weaknesses while also trying to grow and lead from talents. Effective leaders know their strengths and use them consistently in all areas of their life. This doesn't mean ignoring weaknesses, rather, it means being aware of them and finding ways to manage them. One powerful strategy is to surround yourself with people whose strengths complement your weaknesses. By managing weaknesses instead of trying to turn them into strengths, you create more space to grow and thrive in the areas of your natural talents. This approach comes from the growing field of positive psychology, which shifts the focus from what's wrong with a person to what's right. Leading from your strengths not only increases personal fulfillment and productivity, it also energizes those around you, unlocks new possibility, and allows everyone to contribute their best. So I'm not sure if anyone knows about this Don theory of the dipper and the bucket. So here is yet a simple, powerful metaphor you can use to guide your daily actions and interaction. So everyone has something like an invisible bucket that can get filled or emptied on a regular basis by an invisible dipper. When your bucket gets emptied, you feel negative and let down. When your bucket is full, you feel positive. The dipper is a powerful tool in leadership, allowing us to fill another's bucket by saying positive things and focusing on what that person is good at. You can also use the dipper to dip from someone's bucket, making that person feel good. Your own sense of esteem is enhanced when you use the dipper to fill someone's bucket. When you fill your own bucket with others, you are affirming your own and others' strengths and talents. So think about what you do best. Then think about how you felt when you received recognition for a job well done. So organizational research has shown that when you have opportunities to do what you do are best at doing, and when you are recognized for that, you will experience more meaningful and satisfaction in what you are doing, and your productivity will increase as a result. Leading from your talents and strengths will keep your buckets filled. So another key area in understanding self is esteem and confidence. So how you think and feel about yourself is the energy that fuels your motivation. So self-esteem, the subjective element of how you feel about yourself. Self-esteem influences how leaders see themselves and interact with others, and is a key component of effective, authentic leadership. So there are two types of self-esteem. High self-esteem is a result of valuing your self-concept, appreciating who you are, your strengths, and your abilities. Low self-esteem may mean you expect something better or different than you feel. Recognizing which type of self-esteem you have helps you understand your confidence, motivation, and approach to leadership. So we just gonna do a little quiz, right? So to find out if you have a healthy self-esteem or a low self-esteem. So Renella is gonna put the link for the quiz in the chat. It's gonna take you just 2 minutes. And if I'd appreciate if you all do it. So just 2 minutes of your time if you want to get it done. Vanilla?
Yes, it's in the chat.
Okay, good. So just take 2 minutes. We're just doing it for 2 minutes. It's a very simple. And then we'll explain why we do the quiz. So I'm not sure if you're finished. So low self-worth can be detrimental to a person's well-being. If you think you are going to fail, you may be setting yourself up for failure. On the flip side, if you are too high in self-confidence, you may tip into arrogant narcissism. Having the right amount of self-regard is key. It will help you shake off criticism and accept useful evaluation. So this quiz that you are doing, it helps you reflect on how you see yourself, your strengths, and the areas where you might be where you might be more self-critical. It can point to things you may want to work on, like confidence in social situations or handling mistakes. Students get to pause Students get to pause and think about how they view themselves instead of hearing a lecture. Remember, it is not a clinical diagnosis tool. It's for informational and reflective purposes. And by recognizing your strengths and areas for growth, you will feel more in control of your development. So anyone finish the quiz?
Yes, I finished.
You willing to share what is the result you got? If you don't mind?
Uh, yeah, I my score was between 44 and 68 as adaptive.
Okay. So the quiz, did you recognize your strengths and areas for growth and things like that?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, good. So it actually was useful in building your self-esteem, right? Or being aware of your self-esteem.
Yes, I think it's more
So
that I am aware
self-confidence,
of my level of self-esteem. Yeah.
yeah. So self-confidence is the ability to know that you can rely on your strengths, competencies, and skills in the many contexts in which you find yourself. Some people consistently do well in whatever they do, but are never sure they can do well and therefore have low self confidence. Accepting ourselves is perhaps one of the hardest life tasks. Realizing that you cannot change some things about yourself is a step toward higher self esteem. So, example, you will not become 6'2" if you know 5'6". You will not become another race, change your siblings, or get rid of your freckles. You can, however, learn new skills and add to your knowledge base. If some aspects of yourself are negative influences on your self esteem, you must differentiate between those you can actually do something about and those you just need to think about differently, which can lead to higher level of self acceptance. Okay, that was the examples. So understanding yourself. Another key area in understanding self is understanding yourself. So what makes you the way you are? How much of your perception, values, personality, and motives come from the way you were raised, the influence of your surroundings and your contextual environment? How much of the way you are is inborn or genetic? Debates have raged for years over whether to attribute human behavior to nurture or nature. Becoming aware of the influences of either nurture or nature in your own development is essential to understanding self. For example, you may be tall and have learned that some people find you imposing. They assume you will be outgoing and aggressive, even though you are quiet and shy. Or you may be small but have learned that people react eventually to the quality of what you have to say. Or some might even say, you seem bigger than your height. You may have learned to be relational or thoughtful or funny or anxious. Regardless of how you come to be the way you are intentionally choose to develop desired traits or skills. You cannot change your height or some other genetic attribute, but you can address many of the things you have learned by bringing them into your awareness. Although you cannot always change the way others view you because they bring their own bias and attributions, you can at least be authentic as you try to be the person you would like to be. So, and this is the last activity I have for you. So, many people use positive affirmations to enhance their self-esteem. Although these will not make up for a lack of skill or ability, they can help you develop your confidence. An example might be, I'm going to be good at speaking in front of this group. Saying this phrase over and over to yourself up to 20 times throughout the day can help you believe in yourself. So we're going to take 1 minute and just develop one affirmation that you can use to strengthen your self-confidence. It doesn't have to be nothing fancy and big, something that can help you. And this activity is not for today in class, but to help you moving forward in understanding yourself and strengthening your self-confidence.
Leslie Ann, can I say something?
Yeah. Yes.
I would say something simple like you can do it in moments of situations where we may feel that we can't do something because of anxiety or fear or whatever reason. Something simple like that. Just you could do it.
Yes. That, and I hope that you keep repeating that to yourself so you can strengthen your self-confidence. One for me, I would say I would make up is that I can handle challenges and grow from everyday experience. So that is my affirmation for me. Anyone else willing to share their affirmation?
Keep it
We could
moving.
just take one more person.
Keep it moving.
Sorry?
Keep it moving, she said.
Or keep it moving. Okay, great. So these affirmation, if you created it, so keep repeating it daily. Let it remind you of your strengths, reinforce your confidence, and help you approach challenges with a positive, empowered mindset. So thank you all for listening to me today for this part of the session. Now I turn you over to Vanilla.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ranella, and I will be handling the second half of this chapter.
So can you mute my mic, please? Yeah, go ahead, Vanilla. Sorry.
No problem. Factors that shape your identity. So we have a number of factors that defines who we are. Some of our factors may be, can you turn to the next slide, please? Leslie. Some of our factors are ethnicity, race, culture, sexual orientation, age-specific abilities or disabilities, birth order, roles and responsibilities, and socioeconomic status. For example, okay, give me 1 second, please. Okay, right, so these things shape who we are and how we make decisions. It is important to map our personal context, which is on the next slide. So mapping our personal context includes our entire being. which must include many elements that contribute to our sense of identity. And again, when we talk about race, what experiences do I have as a Black person, Chinese, or white person? My culture, what are the things that I'm accustomed to, for example, food, what clothes do I use to dress, sexual orientation, what experiences do I have as a male or as a female, age, and so forth. These all come into play when mapping our personal context. Leslie Ann, could you change the slides, please? Yeah, so the next one. Next slide. So meaningful interaction. Okay, so the question is, how are leaders made? So the question we would ask is, are leaders born or are leaders made? Today we are going to answer the question, how are leaders made? Next slide, please. Meaningful interaction and effective leadership process can result if individuals are aware of their motivations, knowing what drives me or what inspires me and where others are coming from. So understanding their background can help to understand why they make certain decisions or what drives them. Paying attention to these details influence leaders. For example, what drives me or what leads me is some sort of feeling that I have within me that we need to explore. So while there are many factors that contribute to a leader, we will focus on beliefs, ethics, values, and character. Identifying the values and beliefs that lead to your ethical behaviors and build your character is important, even though they may seem challenging. Values and beliefs. Next slide, please. So beliefs shapes values, influence thoughts and actions. What we believe, we put a value on, and that value then affects our perception of situation. Then this determines how we make decisions. For example, one person may perceive an employer as targeting them. Somebody may say, this person or the boss man is always calling me and checking up on me, or the boss man is always hovering over me. Another person might perceive it as the employer is devoting a lot more time and energy and attention to that particular employee. So perception matters, and perception is shaped by our beliefs and values. Next slide, please. Values may affect leaders in a number of ways. Leaders and leadership in a number of ways. For one thing, a leader's personal value affect his or her perception of situations and problems. And we just spoke about perception. So in order to understand how a person may perceive a situation, we have to talk about value systems. What is a value system? A value system is your process of reflecting on how you have come to construct meaning from your experience. So it's basically a criteria for why you have or give more value to one thing over another. Some persons prefer to be logical and scientific, emotional, concrete, or intuitive. Would anybody like to share what is their preferred method of thinking? If it's logical and scientific, emotional, concrete, where you need facts before you make a decision, or sometimes you may just know what the situation, you just know what to do, intuition. Okay,
That
well,
is a blend of emotional and concrete.
mm-hmm. And I like that you said both of them, because we are not categorized by one particular method or mode of thinking. We can have some of them or all of them. Let me give an example of the situation of value system. This is taken from Exploring Leadership textbook, chapter 4. Example is Star Trek's Mr. Spock, where some situation happened. I'm not familiar with the movie, I must confess. But I'll know this experience from the text. So Star Trek, Mr. Spock dispassionately says to Mr. Bones, the surgeon on the USS Enterprise, "You are too emotional, Doctor. That is not logical." Bones explodes and shouts back, "Mr. Spock, how can you be half human and not have 1 ounce of feeling in you?" So not because we don't have to have all of these value systems. We can have one or two, and it doesn't define who we are in general. So from this example, what value system did Mr. Spock use, and what value system did Mr. Bones use? Can anyone answer that question? Which value system Mr. Spock used? Or
Not
how
quite
about,
sure.
okay, or how about what Mr. Bones used? Okay, so for Mr. Bones, Mr. Spock told him he's too emotional. So basically, he was using the emotional value system. So let's consider this question. Whose values and for what purpose? Let's look at the next slide. And the next slide. Now, this is a situation taken from the text again, chapter 4. It says there's a group of students involved in a student government. The president of the student government made a decision that another student did not agree with. This decision infuriated him so much that he just had to speak out about it. He went to 2 other students regarding this matter. He even stated he is going to quit student government. They, however, said, "Wait a minute. We know the president, he is fair and responsible, and we trust him. Something else must be going on that we do not understand. He must have a reason if he did this." Let's move on to slide 6, please. In this situation, it is clear that both the president and the student making the claim have value systems that guide their decisions. Our value systems can influence others to defend our character or simply aid us in strengthening our integrity. So, with the first example, when the president made the decision, the students were able to defend his character. So when a person is known for a solid value system, grounded in integrity and authenticity, others may disagree with the decision, but cannot find fault with the character of the decision maker. On the other hand, someone may also make a decision based on their integrity as a reason or reaction to an intolerable ethical dilemma or value conflict. And we see that happen in the example previously. Let's move on to slide 47. Sorry, next slide. Character and ethical behavior. So whether framed as integrity, authenticity, or credibility, The very core of your character is central to sincerely linking with others in the spirit of community to work toward change. Acting in a morally correct manner. Knowing what is right and wrong and coming to a morally sound conclusion reflects on your community. For example, if you are a diligent worker, not cheating time from your employer, that contribution, whether it is a teamwork or the company as a whole, reflects on that community. A person of character, let's move to the next slide, promotes ethical decisions making and expects ethical behavior from others. 6 pillars of character are trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, citizenship. A trustworthy person is honest, has integrity, keeps promises, and is loyal. Someone who has a character of respect is courteous, non-violent, non-prejudicial, and accepting. A person who has responsibility of in their character is accountable, pursues excellence, shows self-restraint. Fairness is just, equitable, open, reasonable, unbiased. Caring is kind, compassionate, empathetic, unselfish. And being a good citizen is law-abiding, does his or her share, performs community service, protects the environment. So looking back at the previous examples, a person of character and ethics stays true to themselves even though no one is looking. Next slide, please. Next slide. Class question. What is your view of assessments? Can anybody state in the chat if you have a positive or negative view or a somewhat in between view? You could type, or you could say yes for positive, no for negative, and somewhat if you need a here or there about self-assessments. What is your view of self-assessments? In the middle, by Shy. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. So part of knowing who you are is knowing your personal style preference. So let's look at the next slide. Understanding your personality preference helps explain how you function in the world and how you are perceived by others. Carl Jung, which is on the next slide, identified the 4 core functions of human adaptations he called personality archetypes or temperament types. They are how we relate to the world, next slide, how we perceive the world, how we make judgments, and how we make decisions. Next slide, please. So the 4 pairs of adaptive orientation describes where we get our energy, being introvert or extrovert, how we gather information from the world around us, sensing, intuiting, how we prefer to process that information, feeling or thinking, how we prefer to make decisions, judging or perceiving. Can anyone explain what is an extrovert and what is an introvert? Or say what they think an introvert may be or an extrovert may be? Okay, so when I thought of introvert and extrovert, I thought an introvert was somebody who was shy. And apparently, that is not what an introvert is. And an extrovert, I thought, was just an outgoing person. So let's get a little deeper into what these mean. Those who are extroverts prefer the outer world of people and things. Extroverts do their best thinking out loud and in dialogue with others. Extroverts get energy from being around people. They are sociable. People who are introverts are more oriented to their inner world or feelings and ideas. Introverts prefer to think things through and reflect before forming or stating their opinions. They do their best work through internal reflection. Introverts gain energy by creating private space, even when in a crowd. Sensing people rely on the five senses and prefer concrete facts and details. Sensing people are very practical and realistic, preferring the present or past to the abstractions of the future. Intuiting people prefer the big picture and like to see things as a whole. They are innovative and use imagination to develop many possibilities. Intuitive people like to protect or project into the future, living in anticipation of how things can be. Those who prefer thinking use logic and rationality. The head rules rather than the heart. Thinking approaches through critical thinking, analysis, and reliance on the objective scientific method are rewarded in school systems. Although thinking objectives are rewarded in the school systems, feeling type people prefer to make judgments that account for relationships and the importance of human values and beliefs, with emphasis on personal friendship. The fourth core function involves how you prefer to make decisions. So by judging, those who prefer to judge prefer order and emphasis, resolving issues and making decisions to create order. People who use the judging preference like tying up loose ends and seeking closure. They like clear beginnings, deadlines, and endings. Perceiving people, on the other hand, prefer to keep things open ended rather than um, by gathering as much information as possible and being flexible. People with preference, perceiving preferences handle ambiguity well, are known to go with the flow, and are comfortable leaving things open ended or unresolved. Next slide, please. So these four categories turn into 16 pairs. So these pairs are, 16 primary personality types. They help us to understand ourselves and others. Next slide, please. So have any of y'all ever heard somebody say, I am IFJ or ENTP? Have you all ever heard anyone describe themselves by any of these four letters? Yes, okay. Thank you very much. So these four personality types that we just explained could be divided into 16 parts, 16 personality types as listed here. And persons receive this personality type by doing assessments. Can you move on to the next slide, please? So assessments like the MBTI are occasionally used for these to find out personality types. Understanding the importance of our preferences and comfortably using our non-preferred strategies is a skill to acquire. Can I have a show of hands or a yes or no? How many people in this class are right-handed? Very good. And how many of you can write with your left hand? Right. So this personality type, thank you very much. Yep, this personality type is basically, so many of you raise your hands for right-handed. Few of you raise your hands for that you could also write with your left hand. However, these are preferences. I prefer to write with my right hand. This is what I've always done since I'm a child, and similar. So what we can do is, in order to change, not in order to improve our skills, is to do things that we are not accustomed to. For example, I'm not accustomed with writing with my left hand, as most of you are. However, it is not impossible for us to write with our left hand. I'm going to use an example, and I hope this is not too emotional for anyone, but in a situation where something is to happen and we lose our dominant hand, naturally we will have to start practicing or using our non-dominant hand to do things that we would usually prefer to do with our right hand. So using our strengths in different ways is important as well. Next slide, please. Okay, so it's not assessment. There are assessments that could be used to find personality types. There are the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, MBTI, or the Kersey Temperament Sorter. These assessments are occasionally used for finding your types and for other other reasons. Next slide, please. So from the type perspective, one would not ask the question, what type is the best leader? Rather, one would ask, how does each type show leadership? So the reason for this is, what type is the best leader? We as human beings have diversities. We have different levels within us of factors that contribute to who we are and how we act. However, not one specific leader, for example, if you take the personality test, not one specific out of the 16 is the best leader. So we will ask the question, how does each type show leadership? Next slide, please. Question, is it appropriate to use assessments to definitely categorize a potential employee? Would anyone like to go to an employer for a job and be given this test as a definite personality type?
I think it has some pros and cons with it.
Thank you very much. Let's move to the next slide, please. So let me just close this. Next slide, please. Thank you. So there are some indication that the type is not stable, that you can change your pattern over time. The action-oriented extrovert may become more contemplative and reflective introvert later in life. And I have seen this personally, that some persons who have been outgoing and they get their energy from being around people need to reflect more or need more time to be by themselves later on in life than be out there with persons. Um, one, yeah, I'll leave it at that. Next slide, please. So as awareness grows, you begin to see the need to build others' skills and to have a wider range of responses in decision making and in your relations with others. This proves helpful, especially when we understand that people are diverse and what factors contribute to their value system and decision making will help us as leaders. Next slide, please. Okay, so I'd like to make one recommendation. Instead of, not instead of, we do, or persons do take these personality types and they go on thinking that that is definitely who they are. So I would like to recommend try expanding your abilities by doing things you typically avoid or dislike, and that will truly bring growth. However, it might be discomfortable. There will be growth and it will contribute to an effective leader. Next slide, please. So learning approaches. Individuals understand the need for change and how effectively individuals and groups can adapt to change is a learning process. So highly diverse groups of learners need to acknowledge that people learn differently and offer options and choices that will appeal to diversity within groups. Next slide, please. So these learning approaches, it's similar to the personality types. Persons learn very differently. They learn, and for example, extroverts and introverts sensing, intuitive, thinking, feeling, perceiving, and judging. Extroverts may prefer to learn in a group setting, while an introvert may prefer to learn by themselves. Sensing people might want to look at the details of a situation, what is facts, what is right in front of them, while intuitive people might look to the future, look to the big picture. Thinking persons might think logically about a situation, while feeling person might tend to be more of an emotional person, emotional aspect of it, and so forth. So there are types within the learning approaches which could be applied in these situations. Next slide, please. So preferences in how we take information relate to, preferences and how we take in information, relate to others, make decisions, and learn are all essential areas of awareness in relational leadership. These applications of Jung's principles may help you explore your own personality and attitudes in new ways. So now we're coming to the conclusion. So let's do the chapter summary. Okay, so understanding your thoughts and emotions and how others perceive you. We've learned these are part of becoming aware of who we are, leveraging strengths, managing weaknesses. Some weaknesses hide potential strengths. We notice moments of pride or flow to discover our talents. Excuse please. All right, big or small. We accept ourselves, focus on learnable skills, and build confidence. We lead we lead ourselves first, reflect, take responsibility, act authentically, and support others. We have learned the basic values that are essential in a person's character, a person of character, which encourages and expects ethical behavior and values. They have the 6 pillars of trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, and citizenship. And we learn about the personality preferences models, how we relate to the world, we perceive how we perceive the world, how we make judgments, and how we make decisions. And we have the assessment of the MBTI Myers-Briggs personality, and coming from the Jung's four archetypes of personalities. Then we came to learning preferences, how individuals understand the need for change and how effectively they can adapt to change in a learning process. Also learning from those personality types. In conclusion, in developing self-awareness and personal leadership, it is essential to understand our emotions, values, and how others perceive us, embracing our strengths, managing weaknesses, and learning from moments of pride or challenge foster growth and authenticity. By aligning ethical values with our personality and learning preferences, we can lead with character, adapt to change, and support others effectively. So these are the information tools that we've used when preparing this assignment. And we want to thank you all so much for listening to Chapter 4's presentation.
Hi, everyone.